Hello, I'm Richard Ridge for Broadway World. You know my guests from such Broadway musicals as La Cage aux Folles and Bright Star, and from television's Madam Secretary, Bull, and from the upcoming Julia on HBO Max. And now he's returned to Broadway in the role of Owen in the new musical Paradise Square, which is now in previews at the Barrymore Theatre, where it will open on April 3rd. Please say hello to my friend, AJ Shively.
Hello, it's good to see you. It's been a while.
Where are we doing this?
So we're here, it's windy outside, so we're here in Tricolore, a beautiful Italian restaurant right across the street from the Barrymore Theatre, where I often carbo load before my heavy dance show.
I love it. Here we are, so you're about to return to Broadway in Paradise Square. How excited are you?
I'm very excited. You know, it's been a long time coming with this show. I've been involved since 2018. You know, we made it through a pandemic. It's kind of hard to believe that it's happening. I'm pinching myself still. It's good. It's good to be back.
So where did your journey start with this show?
So I did a workshop in 2018, and they were reworking the book, kind of refocusing where the story was going to be, and they added an Irish immigrant character named Owen Duignan, who I am, you know, when I auditioned, they said there might be a moment of Irish dancing. So you can imagine how much it's changed since then.
Because you have like 3 choreographers for this show, right?
Correct, yes. Bill T. Jones is our
Brilliant.
Brilliant, yes. Genius, literally. He's our choreographer overseeing everything. And then we have specialty choreography, Irish hammer step dancing, choreography by Jason Aramis and Garrett Coleman, who are also in the cast as our featured Irish dancers. They're both literal world champions. They both came through the river dance scene and are just unbelievable to watch. And then we have Chloe Davis, who's our associate, who is also in the cast and our dance captain. And yeah, it's a group effort. It's a story about a community made out of many different cultures, and so you know it takes a lot of perspective, and everyone has their own unique voice, and it's represented through movement, through song, through everything. A lot of space was made for the creativity of the cast. It's been great.
Because I never knew this story, and I'm fascinated by this. Talk about the year it takes place in and where it takes place.
Right, I had never heard any of this either. So this takes place in Lower Manhattan in 1863. It's the height of the Civil War. It's not going well, and it's also kind of just after the diaspora of Irish people from the potato famine. It's the melting pot in Lower Manhattan. It's the birth of American culture. And have you ever seen Gangs of New York? That's the time and place. But our story takes place in a small community of amalgamationists, they call themselves, kind of these radical abolitionists who practiced interracial marriage. This is a culture with black people born free who are business owners. It was the slum, the first slum of New York, right? The first slum in America, but it was the birth of American culture. And in the summer of 1863, Abraham Lincoln instituted a draft for the Civil War, and the only way to get out of the draft was if you paid $300, which was more than a year's salary. And the day they drew the names, it was really hot, and people were drinking, and the protest turned into a riot, which lasted for 3 days. Hundreds of people were killed. And it remains the biggest insurrection in American history, apart from the Civil War itself.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by this. I love historical musicals. And as you see the pictures outside the theater, it looks like a big dance show, and there's a shot of you like doing, is it hammer stepping?
Yeah, the move is called an eagle jump. It's an Irish move. Yeah, you jump and you bend both your legs at the same time. You kind of sit cross-legged in midair.
Did you know Irish dancing before this? Were you good at it?
Not at all. No, I didn't do it at all. I had seen it. I had seen Riverdance. I grew up in a town called Dublin, Ohio, and we have a really big Irish festival.
I love that.
We have a big Irish festival every year, so I had seen it. But no, I'd never done it. In fact, when I was in college, the only C I ever got was in tap class because I was so bad at it that I had a bad attitude. And so my teacher kind of, as a slap on the wrist, gave me a C. I would stay in the back. I wouldn't change lines. So I've come a long way.
Oh my God, if your tap teacher in school could only see you now, you're starring on Broadway.
Yes, Linda, I'm doing it.
Come to the Barrymore Theatre, see him in Paradise Square. Talk about the role of Owen. Like, what do you love about him so far? Because I know you're still in previews.
Yes.
You open on April 3rd. I mean, what do you love about him?
Well, our dramaturg said that this community, the people who arrived here in New York, and I think this is true still of immigrants and people who arrive in New York in general, they're survivors. They're the ones who got out. They're the ones who made it. So I love his tenacity. I love his I was going to say joie de vivre, but that doesn't encompass it. His burning desire to live, to make it, to push, his confidence, his strength. I admire that about him a lot.
Now, the show gave BroadwayWorld an exclusive, your big song. Talk about what's the title of the song and where does it take place in the show?
So that song is called I Would Not Die in Springtime, and it's adapted from a Stephen Foster song. And it takes place in a heated moment, where an Irish patron, an Irish member of, the family, has come back from the Civil War, and he's lost his arm. He's a vet, and he's lost his job. And this is true that while Irish people were drafted, white Americans were drafted, black people were not allowed to be drafted because they were not considered citizens. And all the jobs at the docks kind of went away, while the white men were at work, and it caused some racial strife. So it's the first kind of crack in the community, in the bar, in this integrated amalgamationist community. It's the first crack. And I sing about having just arrived here. It's the spring of my life. Why should I die right now? And it's responded to by Sidney DuPont, who plays Washington Henry, with a song called I'd Be a Soldier If I Could. And it's this kind of, we both see and understand where the other is coming from, but it's one of these difficult conversations that persist throughout the whole piece, which makes this piece so special. Yeah. This rehearsal process was unlike any other. We would take time to just sit as a company and talk about these difficult issues and sort through them and have these tough conversations. And I think it resonates in the book. It resonates in how we relate with each other on stage. And I think it resonates with how you're affected when you watch this story happen.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that because, it's hard working on a brand new musical. There's so many elements, but you have this incredible creative team. Talk about who wrote the book and the score.
Well, it's been a community effort because this is a piece based on an event, there's no source material, there's no structure with characters to follow and develop, so it's from scratch. The original concept was by a man named Larry Kerwin, who wrote a play called Hard Times, which was about the true story of Stephen Foster, the first American pop star, who left his life. He made his early living success writing minstrel songs and had a huge awakening and kind of rejected that aspect of his life and left his life, privileged life, left his family and went alone to the 5 Points. And that's where he wrote the song Beautiful Dreamer. And so this play was about Foster arriving in the 5 Points. And it was also inspired, Larry had seen a drawing from the time period of a dance hall. And in this drawing, there was a black man dancing with a white, presumably Irish woman. And he said the look on their faces, he knew that they were in love. So that inspired him to research this time and place, and it's how he found out about amalgamationism. So that idea was then taken and adapted and expanded by so many people. Craig Lucas and Masi Asari had joined us to do lyrics. Nathan Tyson is doing lyrics. Jason Howland is writing the music for the show. We had Marcus Gardley work on the piece, and Christina Anderson. And it's, again, all of these different viewpoints have helped, I think, cut the gem, right?
Yeah.
Everyone brings their own facet to this really complex, important period.
I love that. You are also working with one of the greatest directors, with Moises Kaufman. I mean, what's it been like being in the room with him?
Yeah, Moises is great. I always say one of his best talents is his taste in people, because the people he puts in that room, everyone is so smart. This is the biggest cast I've ever been in. It's 40 people.
Wow.
And cast and crew, I trust my life with every single one of these people in this theater. It's the most talented, the most hardworking, the most capable, the most open and ready and game group of people I've ever worked with. And Moises creates a space for us to play, for us to figure things out, to come up with stuff. And he keeps an open ear for us to be like, oh, what if this happens? You know, there's no source material, so we got to figure out, how do these people behave? How do they interact? What feels like a person and what feels like a plot device? And, you know, it's been really collaborative. Yeah.
Okay, that's a big cast. Yeah. Are you sharing a dressing room with someone?
I am. I'm sharing with legend John Dossett in his, I believe, 18th Broadway show. It continues my record of every time I've shared a dressing room on Broadway, I've only shared with Tony nominees. So it's been pretty great.
So what is it like? So who got to design the dressing room? Are you like doing it together?
I mean, yes, by not doing anything at all. We're very compatible. We both have our piles of stuff, but we know exactly where everything is. We like the same snacks, so we've got a big snack pile in the middle.
Favorite snacks? What are your favorite snacks during like previews and texts and run-throughs?
Right now we got a big Costco size peanut butter filled pretzel bites. So that's a good standard. Then we just a bunch of trail mix. Trail mix with chocolate in it is always good.
You can sing through pretzels?
Yeah.
I love this.
Just gotta have some water afterward, I guess. Yeah.
No, because a lot of people have told me that. I see. For me, that would get stuck in my throat. But they're like, no, they love the salt. They love all that stuff, and it's like it opens their vocal cords.
Well, you know, John, his wife always backs him a really nice lunch, and he always gives me some sliced apples, so that cuts through too.
All right. So you have a lot of Broadway debuts happening in this production too, and you made yours as Jean-Michel in the revival of La Cage aux Folles. How magical was that night? What do you remember about your Broadway debut?
Oh man, I was just talking about this with one of the kids making his Broadway debut, which we share a back wall with the Longacre, so it's like full circle. I remember just how wild the audience went after every number, and I'd never experienced anything like it had been a good reception throughout previews and what you expect, and you're like, oh, it's going well. But the raucous party atmosphere in that theater during curtain call, it was just, you feel it. You feel that energy, that sense of community, that interconnectedness with like the hundreds of people all together. I definitely remember. I'll remember that forever.
Yeah. And then you returned to Broadway in Bright Star, the incredible musical written by Steve Martin and Edie Brickell. I mean, and Carmen Cusack you got to share the stage with. Yes. I mean, favorite memories of doing that?
Oh man, there's so many. All right, I got you. My first is this is a blooper. So Carmen had crazy quick changes in the show, going back and forth between the time periods, and so her adult Alice costume, the skirt, it was all rigged with magnets. And we had a scene in her office where she takes Billy seriously as a writer for the first time, and we kind of connect on a more intimate level, a deeper level, and we make eye contact. We made that connection. The scene's over, and she stands up to leave, and her skirt stays in the chair because it was a metal back. And so all of a sudden, it became a very different scene. She just picked it up, put it off her shoulder, and walked right off stage. And my other favorite moment...
I love that. That's called living in the moment.
She's such a good actor, right? She's just there. My other favorite moment, this was when we were in San Diego at the Old Globe, and we were trying to figure out how this giant house would move. And, it wasn't getting heated or anything, but it was frustrating because just trying to figure out how does it look elegant and not heavy, right? And Steve had to leave early that day, and we were all sitting there scratching our heads, kind of getting frustrated. And he did, just without saying anything, going through the door, the most Steve Martin bit where he got stuck in the door for a solid 2 minutes and then just left without saying anything, and it completely broke the tension. Everyone would laugh, and it all worked out.
I love that. You've also done some TV stuff. I mean, Madam Secretary, Bull. So you have a brand new TV project, which I believe is called Julia, about Julia Child on HBO Max. Tell us about it. Are you playing a chef?
I am playing a chef. I'm playing Andre Solner, who was on her show ultimately, but I play him earlier in her career where he was not impressed with her gender, we'll say.
Do you get to chef? Do you get to cook on?
No,
okay.
I don't cook. But I do wear the hat. I'm in the chef whites, and I'm a little rude to her.
How much fun was it doing this and working on this?
Doing Julia?
Julia, yeah.
It was great. It was great. Well, first of all, the cast is incredible. They were all so welcoming. I don't come in until the 7th episode or something, so they've been working together for ages before I showed up. And it was the best time. We talked about food all the time. It's shot in Boston, so I was able to visit family up there. It was a great experience. It's really warm, fun set. Yeah.
I always ask stage actors, the first time they did TV, did you grasp the medium right away? Because most of them didn't. They were like, oh my God, I had to bring it down.
Yeah.
What was your first TV thing that you did?
My first TV thing I did was incredible. So the first Broadway show I ever saw was Ragtime, and Brian Stokes Mitchell obviously stood out, and I became obsessed with him. And my first TV gig was on an episode of The Blacklist to play Brian Stokes Mitchell's personal assistant. So I actually that was the big deal going on. So it was actually, the shoot went okay because the whole time I was just trying to play it cool. And then when I rapped before he did, and so I wrote him, I fanboyed so hard. I was like, you're the reason I'm in theater. And I left him this super embarrassing note in his dressing room, just thanking him for my whole life, basically. Yeah.
Oh, I love that because it's all theater people on TV now, which is fabulous.
Yeah, it's great. When I was working on Bull, they were talking about how they've been trying to make it a point to use New York people, and it makes for a great time. It makes for a great time. Yeah. I was joking with somebody who's done a lot of TV, but came up in the theater. That doing TV is basically like being in Tech Week, because you just got to sit, you got to wait for them to point the lights, you got to move the camera around, and then
you're used to that.
Yeah, and we're all used to it. We're ready. Yeah.
So what are you the proudest of with working on Paradise Square? Like I said, it's a brand new musical. It's a big musical. It tells a mammoth story.
Right. I mean, so much. Just the fact that it's here and we're doing it is a huge accomplishment. After everything stopped, we were in Berkeley in 2019, intending to come to New York in 2020, so just the fact that we're doing it, I'm proud of. But I think. I had a family friend come see the first preview, and after the show, she said, I want to talk to you about this show and that's what I'm proud of, because it opens these conversations. It makes you want to talk about it. It makes you want to see it again, to see. There's just so many different perspectives and so much to learn, and it's all gray. It's not black or white. Everyone does heroic things and everything. Everyone makes mistakes, and I think it's an accomplishment. I'm really proud of our cast. I think we've really bonded and come together, and the community we're presenting is real. It's real. Yeah.
What was that first performance like for you in front of a live audience? Because audiences are loving this show. I know many people have seen this already, but that first time you were up there.
Oh man. Okay, so Tuesday night was our first preview, and Joaquina goes out and gets entrance applause, so that's a good sign, right? And the show starts, she's in front of the act curtain, she has a little monologue, and she starts to sing the opening number, and the scrim fades through, and you see the company, and they're frozen, and they're ready to go, and then they come to life, and the beat drops, and then the song really starts, and the audience spontaneously started screaming their heads off, and that feeling was incredible, just feeling how ready they were, matched how ready we were. And that synchronicity, this theater is so great. The Barrymore Theatre is so great because the back wall is so close. It goes high, but there's not a bad seat in the house. You can feel the energy. It's incredible every night. It's great. Just that sense of community. I missed it.
Well, that's what I was saying. Everybody I've spoken to, they appreciate it even more now. Not that they took anything for granted, but they were like, they just missed everything, like going to the stage door, signing in. I mean, the first time you saw yourself done up as Owen, like in the mirror with costume and everything, like, what were you thinking?
Oh man, I was like, well, because it's my same costume from Berkeley, and I was like, I can't believe, here we go again. It was almost like no time had passed, and it's almost like it was a different person.
Yeah.
It's a weird, both of those things are true at the same time. Yeah, I have this great little like green corduroy jacket that I put on, and I'm like, oh man, here I am. Yeah. Here I am. Put the dirt on my face, and I'm ready to go.
It's all about the dirt, right?
It's all about the dirt, the grit.
The final thing you do, right?
That's what Moises keeps saying. It's find the grit. Yeah.
We're right across the street. We can see your marquee from here. I mean, it must be so great to be able to be back in the theater district again, being back on Broadway, walking down the street, seeing the marquee. I mean, going through the stage door. Like, what does that mean?
It feels, it's like a homecoming. It feels great. It feels great that the whole community is back. All these shows. I mean, and I know it's caused some. So there's like trouble. There's a shoe shortage, right? Because all the shows opened at the same time, and like
everybody needed character shoes, right?
Everybody needed shoes at the same time. But people are back to work. People are back supporting the theater, seeing the theater, hearing these stories, being moved emotionally. The variety of material on Broadway this season is insane and glorious, and makes me so happy. From American Utopia to Funny Girl, right? Like, and everything in between. I'm honored to be a part of where Broadway is right now.
And the theater is also one of the safest places to be. I mean, with the COVID protocols and people have to wear masks and everything else, right? It's one of the safest places to be.
Oh yeah, and we're all maxed up backstage. We've only once. Somebody went on with the mask on, but he got it off pretty soon. Because we're all masked up in the wings,
And we're so used to it.
Yeah, you forget it's on sometimes. Although not when you're sweating profusely. You're like, get this off my face.
So he took it off right before he went on.
Yeah. Well, as he was going on, he kind of made it on stage a little bit.
What's the last thing you do before you hit the stage each night? Do you have a ritual?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah. I'm not in the opening number. My character enters in the first scene. So the opening number is kind of like a prologue. It sets the mood. It teaches you who the community is. And I'm a new arrival. But I'm in the wings for the opening number. We all kind of, Places is called, and everybody in the company comes down, and we just kind of wander up above the act curtain and we just like hang out. I don't know, the community, I can't say it enough. The community we've created is real. When you come see the show and you see us, those people are standing over there chatting. I wonder if they're just saying peas and carrots. No, like we're talking, we're improvising in character. It's a great company to be in.
It is great to have you back on Broadway again. For everybody looking for a wonderful night in the theater, go to the Barrymore Theatre, see the brand new musical Paradise Square, co-starring my friend, AJ Shively. Good to see you, buddy, as always.
Good to see you too. Thank you so much.
The best.